Yeah, yeah. It's Ross. It's Ross Browne.
Fuck it, ew. Oh, jeez, you, it's a shark in the water. All I can do, everything, it's a shark in the water. Everything else, I lose it. Yeah.
Fucking, this Aussie look that I have got going is
very Aussie.
Nothing to do with sharks or anything. This is pure shears sheep, catches cattle. You know what I mean? Has never seen the seaside.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know? There's nothing cool about what's going on here.
The place where you landed to interview Mick Dundee in the first Crocodile Dundee. Yeah.
We're all down drinking. Fucking
only got Fosters. Pickup trucks and the fucking
everything's made of corrugated iron. Yeah.
Even the women.
The one woman is made of corrugated iron.
Yeah, it's corrugated Irene. Yes, corrugated Irene.
We've all let her go. She, I mean, granted, she's all our sister, but fucking, you know. I'd say you have to be I have to know you. You must be the longest comedian that I know the longest since starting comedy. I think so. Who's still definitely fucking doing it and hasn't had a complete mental breakdown or
close to.
Yeah. I mean, why else do we do it?
Mental breakdown, like,
you know, because the amount of mad bastards. Was it just me, or was there a plethora of crazy cunts when, like, Crack House days, or the first Crack House days, back when, like, there was like when I was starting out, I just assumed that I went, okay, Ross seems to have it together, but then all of a sudden there's this guy over here and he's got a napkin on his head, man.
There was a want. I'll tell you what, right? It started out with like the likes of myself. Early days in the Crack House, there was myself, there was Fred Cook, there was Chris Kent, and you know, you'd have people coming down, like you'd have John Calleary and you'd have people like that, and then after a while, then it kind of descended into this kind of oddities, kind of like a cavalcade of fucking misfits for a while, and then another kind of it's very cyclical. It comes in waves. Where like all of these kind of experimental, like I'm anti-comedy. And it's like, what?
Yes.
No, the real world is anti-comedy. Even if you want to be a little bit left of field, you still have to be comedy. And there was guys up there that were like, you know, I'm gonna eat a candle. That's my thing. You know, and it's like there was a little bit of that for a while, and then it leveled off again, and we got, you know, another kind of swath of good comedians come in, you know.
I remember the very first gig I did was out in Passage West Soccer Club. And it was about the third gig I'd ever seen.
Yeah.
And there was a guy going on about, you know, sharing the bath with his sister, but accidentally getting her pregnant from jacking off in the water. And I was like, I'd say that could be funny in another way. In, you know, looking around to people around. And I was trying to defend the bloke because I was all into comedy at the time.
Yeah. You guys just don't understand, man. He's coming from different angles, which is the problem in a bath, I suppose. Yeah. It's, you know what I found when I first started out, and it was when I first moved to Dublin is when I found this. There was and again, these things come in waves. There was a big dark comedy movement. Yes. There was a lot of dark comedy nights. It wasn't even called alternative, it was just called dark. It was like, don't come here unless you want the darkest shit. Like we're gonna kill chickens on stage. Like it was just like fucking, it was all Bill Hicks kind of, you know, guys that thought that they were, you know, they all smoked, they all wore trench coats and stuff like that. And of all those people, I don't think any of them still do comedy.
No.
So, and I think the main thing, I always find that there's a level of self-indulgence that we have as comedians.
Yes.
But I think that there comes a point where if you tip over that self-indulgence kind of apex, you're never going to continue. You're never going to make, there's a shelf life to that. Whereas I think if you can kind of balance that self-indulgence, but also the willingness to go, we're just clowns. If you don't take it that seriously in terms of who you are, and if you want to be cool more than funny, you're fucked. You've got a very short shelf life, unless you genuinely are really fucking cool. In which case, you don't want to be cool because that's not cool.
Yeah. And what the fuck are you doing in comedy if you're actually properly cool? Like, you know.
Yeah, exactly. It's not for you. It's not for you. It's for us. It's for mullets. It's for mullets and small eyes and ginger beards. That's what
yeah. Look at the size of my eyes. I mean, I've got the trifecta.
I'm trying, Tom. I'm trying.
I can't even see him. Is somebody
isn't the fucking lens strong enough, Tom?
Is there somebody back there poking a ham with a biro twice? Is that
I'd be fucking quicker to find Peter Dinklage's arsehole on the moon through a monocle.
There was a serious like the likes of when I started, and you were obviously flying it because I'd say you were doing a good couple of years ahead of me, before me. But the likes of the feeder that, say, the Crack House was, it seemed like a proper setup. It was a feeder into city limits, because Cork at the time, because I was living in Cork, and Cork all through the 2000s, I tried to explain this to people. You've seen nothing like this place. It was this hedonistic. Every place was jammers. Every fuck 4 nights a week. Every bar, restaurant, every fucking thing. Even they have gourmet chippers in Cork. There's no gourmet chippers anywhere in the fucking world. Like, it's a chipper for a reason.
We pronounced gourmet.
Gourmet.
Gourmet. Go for some gourmet chips. People were like, "What's a gourmet? Do you have any of those gourmet potatoes?" Inside in Centra of a Thursday.
That was it. Money. Just throw money at everybody and let's see what fucking happens. But in fairness, Cork, like, it was fucking. I fucking loved it. It was like thriving. Like, like,
do you know what made the whole thing collapse? Because we had the European Capital of Culture in 2005 as well. Do you know what made the whole thing collapse? Black pudding. We fucking lost the run of ourselves with black pudding. We wanted to put black pudding in everything. And to be honest with you, it was in burgers, it was on pizzas, it was in paninis, it was in coffees. I think that we actually just accidentally put black pudding in all the banks, and that's where we lost all the fucking money. Someone woke up and went, "It's just fucking black pudding, lads. What's going on?"
Imagine like a Mr. Smithers, a Cork version, opening the pink newspaper, like, "Let's see how my pudding are doing." What the bloody hell?
It's a great pudding crash of 2005.
You're not fucking wrong. I remember going to a Portuguese, like, it was a Portuguese restaurant / bar, and it was what's a bodega was the name? No, maybe I'm wrong, but they had tapas. That's all they fucking had was tapas.
Yeah.
And myself and Barry Murphy went in there, and the two of us are looking at each other, and there was pudding on everything. Black pudding. And you're like, lads, there's pudding. We want a little bit of Portugal here. Like, I doubt that they have Clonakilty's finest.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. And it's more like, it's the texture of a microwave hamburger. Like, there's no, you want a granular. If you were getting black pudding, you want a granular black pudding. You want it to have little seeds in it that you don't quite know what they are.
No idea.
Whatever, like corn or whatever. Like, you don't want kind of like smooth, because then it reminds you of what it is, which is blood. Do you know what I mean? That's what you don't want. You want to go, no, this is a chewy black pudding. It's something different. Like, you know.
Oh, great.
This t-shirt's made of black pudding. That's how bad we are. We've so much of it left over from the mid 2000s. Oh, the jeans are made of black pudding.
I wore my Cork t-shirt here, my black Cork t-shirt. Yeah. Oh yeah. Now that you, so it does. Yeah. Immediately you're thinking, I'm eating a little cracker full of scabs. That's essentially it. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to kind of dress up. You have to put white stuff in there, little bits of corn and stuff for people to actually go, "Oh, it's like when people eat an egg, they don't want to think what an egg is. They just go, it's an egg." That's why they cook it in 50 fucking 5,000 ways, is because we try and dress it up to be not what it is.
Fair play though. Because Cork had the perfect opportunity to try and make tripe and drisheen like fucking wanky, and they probably did. Probably bars and restaurants probably gave a go at.
We didn't.
No.
We didn't.
Well,
no.
Fair play then. Fair play.
And there was some reasons to that, like the lack of flavor.
Oh yeah.
Or the lack of kind of like, you know, a trace of origin, as in like, what is it?
The mystery
meat.
Meat.
Like, is it the lining of a cow's stomach? Is it some lad's hair from a pub? Like, you don't know what it is. You know what I mean? My dad loved tripe and drisheen, right? And we used to go to the English market. You know the English market.
Yeah.
We used to go to the English market. My dad used to go there on, I think a Tuesday was the day that the fresh tripe and drisheen would come in. And there's like, it's not even a counter. It's just a metal. It almost looks like a urinal turned on its side. You know, the ones that are just a wall of stainless steel. It was one of them. So whatever was draining off of this fucking abomination of an excuse for food would drip down into like a drip tray at the end. And there was an old one standing over it. And she was the one that was dishing it out. My dad said, "Can I get some tripe and drisheen?" All right. And she leant over, right? And she was picking it out. And I swear to God, man, the longest fucking drool I've ever seen in my life just fell in slow motion and touched all the tripe and drisheen. And then the end fell off and it went all over the rest of it. And she picked up the bit and threw it into the bag and handed it to my dad. And we walked out and I went, "You can fucking bin that right now." And he went, "What do you mean?" I goes, "She just, all of her spit fell out in one go and landed on that." And he went, "Sure, I'm fucking boiling it anyway." I was like, that's a 50s Irish. That's a man who's grown up in the 50s. Like
if that fell on the ground, Ross, after she spat in it and she accidentally kicked it up the fucking English market, you're out at it.
He's boiling it. Yeah, he's boiling it.
Plus, it's tripe and drisheen. It can't get much fucking worse than that.
It can't. Being spat on is probably the least bad thing that's happened to tripe and drisheen. In fact, you could almost call that a condiment to tripe and drisheen. What does this come with? It's the spit of an old one.
Le spi. Le spi.
The old one.
So what age did you, when did you start comedy then? Because there was, we'll get into all the other mad things. I remember asking you this one night we were talking and all the other mad things you've done, but we'll start with comedy when.
Yeah. I did my first gig in Galway in Bar Cuba when I was 18.
Right.
I was still in secondary school. And I went up to Bar Cuba with my dad and my granddad. They both drove up and they sat in the back row. And it was myself. It was Jerry Mallon hosting. It was Joe Rooney. And it was Paddy Courtney.
Right.
And there was another guy doing an open mic as well that night. I wore a 3-piece suit and a fedora.
Yes, you did. A fedora.
I did. And all I really had was a bit of beatboxing and a couple of jokes that I probably wouldn't even attempt to call jokes anymore. But I kind of got by just on energy and performance and just winging it a little bit and a couple of ad-libby lines that people went, oh, he's not completely off, he's not learned off. He's actually kind of, he's riffing a little bit. And I kind of coasted on that. I remember Joe Rooney came to me, he's like, what age are you? I was like 18. He was like, you bastard.
Yeah.
But then I didn't do it for 2 years after that. I did one gig and then I moved to Spain with my parents. And it took me 2 years to do my next gig. And what I did was I flew back from Spain to do 7 minutes in the International.
Yes, you did. Did you bring the fedora?
I didn't. T-shirt and jeans at this stage. I'd figured out that I wasn't Bernie Mac.
I love that. That's exactly what was in my head. Like fucking Bernie.
I think I must have seen Kings of Comedy.
I ain't scared of you motherfuckers in a Cork accent.
So I went back and I did 7 minutes in the International for just for the experience. I remember ringing Des Bishop. So my parents had a flower shop in Douglas in Cork. Des Bishop came out of the chemist right where my parents' flower shop was in the mall, and they spotted him and they said, our son did a gig up in Galway and he's looking to do gigs. And fair play to Des, he wrote down his number. He said, this is my personal phone number, don't give it to anybody else. He said, give it to your son and tell him to give me a ring. We moved to Spain a week later and then I rang Des for a year. He was like, bro, where are you ringing me from? I was like, Spain. He's like, you're going to come all the way from Spain to do 7 minutes? I was like, yeah. And he was like, call me in a month, bro. And he was like, I don't think you want to. I was like, I really fucking want to. It took a year and eventually I flew over. And then I didn't gig again for another year and a half. So it was 20, maybe 21 before I actually kind of started gigging, which was Crackhouse.
What was that move like going from, because all the rest of the boys are all either going off getting a trade or fucking going to college or whatever. And you're like, good luck, lads. I'm away to fucking Spain.
I failed at Even Cert on purpose. I got 90 points. I got an A1 in English and that was all I got. Didn't show up for maths paper 2. Did foundation in the first place because I said I'll do foundation, but I'm not like zoned in. So they just said put them in the back of A class, and I failed everything. Like I wrote my name, phone number, address on every single exam paper. I did everything you're not meant to do. I put a 10 in my English exam. I got an A in that, but I wrote a whole piece as to why I put a 10 in it and stuff. And I was like, this is not a bribe. This is just a form of lubrication. If you get a coffee and a scone and you're in a much better mood when you look at my paper, I was like, maybe that's the turning point for me. I was like, but in no way do I want you to grade it better because of the 10, but go treat yourself.
Yeah. Oh, fucking hell tonight. I love that.
I just had to crack up my Leaving Cert because I promised my parents I would do it, but I'd sit it, but I never told them that I would try. But I did promise my English teacher that I would get an A if I didn't have to do the boring work in class, like read Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry, or Macbeth. I'd read it, but I wouldn't write a synopsis every day and then listen to everyone read their synopsis. I was like, fuck that. I'll hear them the next day. I'll write 10 poems a day for you. I just don't want to do the monotonous stuff. And he said, promise me you'll get an A. I said, yeah. And that was my only goal then for the whole year was like, I'm going to come true on my promise to him. I didn't promise my parents that I'd sit it properly. So I was like, I had more weight in what I said to a 30-odd-year-old teacher than I did to my own parents.
They must have been as cool as a breeze, though, your parents, were they?
Do you know what? They came into the school and our year head, Miss Campbell, turned around to them and said, don't worry about him. And they were like, yeah, but I mean, he's not. And they were like, he doesn't need it, which was like a rare.
That's a rare teacher to find. Yeah, holy shit.
He said, Ross doesn't need it. Whatever he decides to do, he doesn't need his Leaving Cert. And she said, you just let him do his thing. She said, he's cool. He's grand. I was like, that was like my ticket to going, see, Miss Campbell said I don't have to do it.
Imagine all the other boys in the class overhearing that shit going,
yeah.
The fuck is this?
Yeah. My leaving cert was a joke. Like my whole life is a joke, but my leaving cert was a joke. The priest in our school had a pool going with the students on how many points I'd get. And one fucker guessed 90 points and he got something like 180 quid, one of the students.
Oh, stop.
Genuine money being passed around. Like there was more people at me getting my results that weren't actually getting their results that day than there were of all the people that were getting the results. There was more of an audience there who actually weren't meant to be there because everyone was waiting to see if they got their money or not. I opened up at 90 and the whole place was like fucking rolling around the place.
No, good luck. I'm off to Spain.
I got 3 different teachers to check it and they're all like, I'm afraid it is 90. And I was like, hey! Yeah, I knew from an early age, I was like, it's either going to be comedy or wrestling. That's all I wanted to do.
Yeah, because I want to talk about the wrestling, man. That's
or acting, you know, or I want to be Harry, you know, that kind of thing. Like you always have, you know, have the people that you kind of go, that I want to do what they do, you know.
And what was that in your eye line? Would say, did you know somebody that was an actor, singer, a performer, or some sort, or was it just from watching telly? You went, see that big shiny fella? I want to fucking do what the shiny man does. My
dad was in a comedy mime act.
Was he?
In the late 70s, early 80s, called the Mad Hatters. And it was himself and a guy called Shawnee Murphy. And they did sketches to popular songs. And they would dress up and do different characters, but they would be singing, they would be miming along with the lyrics, and the lyrics would be the narrative for each sketch. It was actually quite ahead of its time.
Yeah.
So for example, when the Bishop Eamon Casey story broke, they had Bishop Eamon Casey, a woman coming out. Bishop Eamon Casey was there with the big, Hannah said Big Eamon. And then a woman, my dad would come out with a balloon down his stomach or whatever, dressed as a pregnant woman. And it started with a kiss. I never thought it'd come to this. And then he'd run off. And then Shawnee Murphy, who was only about 4'8", would run on with a little Bishop's outfit, with a little Eamon written on the thing. It was like, you don't remember me, do you? It was... each sketch was only like 8 bars of a song. So like they had costumes that were all Velcro. They would be on, off, on, off, on, off. Like they would burn probably 3,000 calories in a show because it was like only 2 of them. My mom doing the costume backstage for them, and they had to record the whole show off records onto tape. So you can imagine.
Oh my God! Yeah.
The laborious.
Yeah.
Like 8 bars of a song, transition 8 bars of a song. And it was fast. So yeah, they were very popular around the place. They played the Stardust, I think, a week before it burned down.
Jesus.
Yeah. So they were playing big rooms like around the place, and they were picking up speed. And they won a big competition in the opera. They were meant to. They were finalists, and then they were told, "You actually can't win because the prize is a recording deal, and you're using other people's songs, so you can't." What are we going to say? You should have seen it.
Yeah.
Here's little clips of 20 songs you've already heard.
But in fairness, like that was bowel stuff to be doing way back then. Like, you know what I mean? When you, like that's Monty Python level of fucking boldness in Ireland, especially.
I always hark back to like kind of going like it was kind of Dumbelievable-esque as well before Dumbelievables. You know, it was kind of taking the anarchic comedy and kind of dragging variety and also dragging the show bandy kind of stuff, dragging it kicking and screaming into a more what would you say, modern comedy kind of format, you know.
I tell you, yeah. So I can see.
There was that, and then obviously my dad's appreciation of comedy would have transferred over.
Yeah.
So you know, even just watching people like Michael Barrymore, even watching people, you know, like watching the Two Ronnies, watching what's his name? He's only a puppet. What's his name?
Oh,
Brian
yeah,
Connolly,
yeah.
Brian Connolly, all those kind of guys. All like Bradley Walsh, young Bradley Walsh was doing comedy. You watch all these variety shows, these Saturday night TV shows, and like Barrymore, I just thought was the king. I was like, Barrymore was and is, but like, you know, when he was on TV, Michael Barrymore was one, super entertaining, multi-talented, could sing, could tap dance, could interview anybody.
Not a great lifeguard, but just
yeah. But he was just I don't know, I just thought there was something magic about those kind of Freddie Starr. There was something magic about that era of performers from the 80s and 90s that didn't It just ended. It just dropped off the face of the earth.
To see the level, because I sometimes end up in these rabbit holes, like just like that. Like Les Dennis when he was doing Blankety Blank was one of the funniest.
Family Fortunes, Blankety Blank,
because all it was him roasting these fucking celebrities, and I mean the game was secondary, and you're going, fuck, and real harsh stuff too, but nice under the radar without being dirty.
Yeah,
like, that's hard. That's harder comedy than.
Yeah, absolutely. The first 10 minutes, 15 minutes of Family Fortunes was always just interviewing the 3 pairs of contestants. And it was, I mean, he would have a young couple on, and they've just got married or they're looking to save for more. And then he would have like a 98-year-old couple, and all of them he turned into stars. They were all the stars of the show. He was able to extrapolate the best out of everybody, and he had a genuine caringness about him. He'd lean across the desk to them, and it wasn't like he was like, okay, it wasn't very polished. Like it was kind of, I'm a presenter. I'm holding myself. Mary, tell me about your. It was like he'd lean across and be like, "You all right? Do you have many ailments?" And you won't be like, "Oh, my hip's gone and my thing's gone," and "Oh, that's terrible." And it was just genuine.
Yeah.
And that's what always has struck a chord with me is if it's not real, I don't want to do it. And if it's not real, it's not me. Yeah. So even on my radio show, it's like someone will say, will I tell you what the thing is? And I'll say, no, I want to react.
That's it. That's why even before we got going here,
I'm confident that I'll react.
Yeah.
Funnily. So don't
ruin it.
It'd be great if we could structure this. I'm like, no. If we fail, we fail. But at least we fail doing it honestly rather than kind of going, oh, I haven't seen the clip. I wonder what it's about. 7 lines written down.
I know. That is something that grates at me an awful lot. So like I've done a couple of podcasts, and literally they will script it out right. Mm-hmm. And I'm going, what are we doing? Like, what there's no crack in that.
No, but if they want to script it out right, sorry, I just had no scratch my minge there. If they want to script it out right, be forthright with that. And say, we planned on talking about all these things. Let's try and get to them all. Yeah. That's fine. I'm like, cool. But if it's like you're trying to hoodwink anybody, I don't like that. And I think that's kind of what my comedy is. That's what I've always aimed for, at least, is if you're always 100% honest with the audience, then they will want you to win. And then because a lot of comedians do this whole thing of like, fucking audience was shit, or I'm gonna murder, I'm gonna kill. And it's like it's an attitude almost of it's me versus them. It's almost like a duel between the audience and the comic. And it's like, I'm gonna beat them into laughing. And it's like, actually, they've paid to come and laugh.
Yeah.
They actually want you to do your job. It's not you against them, unless it's a horrific fucking, Christmas party or a fucking corporate. But like, by and large, they're here, they've done their bit. You just have to bring them over the line. And that's why I'm always honest. So if something dies or bombs, I'm acknowledging that. And then at least he knows we're still on with you. Whereas if I'm deluded, they'll go, this fucking dying doesn't even know it, I scratched my minge. I knew on camera you could see that. So I was like, okay, I don't want to go too wanky on it, but that guy who's like, no pun intended. Do you know that guy who is, I think his name is Claude. Oh, what's his name? He's the guy that taught Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yes,
the master clown in France. Claude Goulier, I think, or Julier. He talks about this thing called le jeu, which is the joy. And that is my only goal in when I'm on stage, is find the fun for me.
Where's the crack?
Whether it's playing with the mic stand and finding something about it, or I saw Jason Byrne do an hour and 45 minutes, nearly 2 hours in the back room of City Limits during the Cork Comedy Festival.
Oh, yeah.
And every fucking comic was standing at the back of the room because Jason was in le jeu, because he was riffing like I've never seen anyone riff before. And he did...
There was horse heads and every fucking thing, wasn't there? If I remember correct, because I was steaming. I remember...
He did 20 minutes on the different ways that everybody folded their bag of potatoes after they'd eaten it and what that meant about each person. And it was a masterclass in somebody just riffing. And speaking of Jason Byrne, if like Jason Byrne's done Ireland's Got Talent as a judge, and he's done loads of different TV shows as guests and all that kind of stuff, there is nothing that is more of a representation of genius than Jason Byrne live.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And anything else he does will never represent the magic of what he can do on a stage. No matter how good he can be doing anything else, there's something in the room with Jason Byrne that even if you try and tell anybody what happened, you will never be able to convey it. It's just you have to go see Jason.
You literally have to be there.
That's why he's the biggest selling comedian of the Edinburgh Fringe ever, or the Edinburgh Festival ever.
Oh, he is. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just, he can conjure magic. And if I can just get a little bit of that every once in a while, I'm happy.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean?
I think
those moments.
I think too, possibly it's the lack of maybe experience too with the whole kind of aggressive thing. I remember maybe when when you're starting to get decent, maybe 3 years, 4 years in, you're going, oh, I get how this shit structures together. Because before that, you're completely fucking delusional. You're away with the birds, like, you know.
Trying to find stuff. You're trying to find what you are, who you are, what you're saying. Yeah.
And I remember for me, and it was the only advice I give to people was that there will be a period where you think you're fucking class and you're fuck them way, but it ain't that at all, man. It just as you said. Get in there, everybody climb into each other's pockets, because you're all in this lovely fucking huddle of fucking madness together, where close the doors, lads. Do you know what I mean? This is where fun lives. And no matter how shit this, and pointing the elephant out in the room is sometimes, as you said, like probably the best thing you can do sometimes. Like, you know, when you get probably one of the best, we wouldn't call it a heckle, but I remember I did a bit before where the first time I'd ever seen my own walk. And for years, I always thought it a cool walk. And then I saw it and it was disgusting and I was ashamed, and it was on national television even. Like, it was fucking, I looked like a fucking, I did. It was fucking rotten. It was this really fucking, like, I would have judged me as look at the fucking redneck, just fucking walking like a big willy.
Like, a lumber more than a walk.
Here's my head, my arse is on the way kind of thing. Like, and it was a rhetorical question, threw it out there just to set up the next line as you would be speaking anyway. And I said, have you ever seen your own walk? Nobody. I'll tell you how. And during this one time doing it up in Jobstown, this lad just kind of quietly went, no. I said, what? I've never seen it, Tom. Never seen it. And he didn't look down, but I had to. And I looked down, and of course, he was in a wheelchair, and he had two kind of wizened legs under him. And it was in that moment I went,
it's amazing.
Jeff, I said, I don't know your name, but I said, nobody else heard you. But I said, when I asked you, and I had to point it because he won that moment. And he was the golden balls. I had to put down the mic. Yeah. Patrice O'Neill stuff, because it was one of those, it was quite a rough old gig. So everybody was quite fucking, but it was embrace the room, embrace the moment. That man just won. I can't follow that really. Like,
if you didn't acknowledge that and let everyone else know what just happened, you would be a selfish, would you say lack of confidence? You would be like, no, but he might take it away from me.
Yeah.
That's so selfish of a performer. Again, it's you acknowledged something that was genuinely, honestly in the moment and shared it with everyone else. And then and then he felt like a fucking legend. And everyone was like, that was hilarious. But they're also connecting it with you because you're the one that communicated it to the audience. So it's those kind of things. I remember I was doing a gig upstairs in a room in Dublin. I can't remember exactly where it was. And a guy walked in with a lady and a guide dog, and she kind of escorted him halfway into the room, and then I'm on stage.
I shouldn't be laughing already.
I'm on stage. It wasn't funny at this point. I'm on stage and I see them coming through, and I see people kind of, people shuffling, kind of making a route for them or whatever, or coming back because the dog's coming in as well. And he sat down facing the back of the room, and the whole room. The tension was so much that I just had to stand there in it for a while and just kind of go, let's let this play out. Like, and the woman beside him started to laugh. And I went, okay, this woman knows him. She's not like a cruel fucker. So then everyone else started to laugh around it. And I was like, okay, let's just let this play out. And she turned around to him and she went, you're facing the wrong way. And he went, what does it matter?
Oh, yes.
And I was like,
yes.
I can't do anything more. Like, of all the clever things I've thought of the little lines I've written, the swerves that I'll do, take you one way, go. I will. He wins. I was like, we'll all go home. Like, we can all. Sorry, we might be taking your show away because you've just arrived. But you've won. Like, we'll all go home. Like, there's no point. There's no point. So I just had to just keep hammering home what just happened.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
It was as funny as anything's going to get. So I was like, let's deconstruct this from 7 different angles. This is now the rest of my set. And he thought I'm the funniest fucker in the world. And I was like, fucking rightly so, you are. You know what I mean? Even the dog was fucking laughing, I think.
Yeah. Jesus. And I mean, not to count. This is a good conversation, but just because I want to tell you, because I know you love this moment. It was it was a gig that was in my head was never going to work. It was starting at 11 o'clock one night in Strabane.
Right.
I was like, what the fuck? Like barbed wire all around. A former nightclub, didn't bode well. Unbelievably well behaved. Couldn't be wrong. Everybody filed in. Lovely. I was in the dance floor and there was mirrors. I was in the corner of the dance floor as the stage, and there was mirrors in the angles behind me. So even that was funny and weird. Yeah. And everybody was a bit tense. They didn't really know what the crack. There'd been a comedian or two on, and it was and I went on, right? And we were having a good time because I was pointing out the fact that what the fuck? This is bizarre for everybody. This is bizarre. And this guy who'd been obviously drinking all evening, and it was now like 12 o'clock at night by the time I got on, and he was trying to get up quietly in what we'll call it the front row, but his foot got caught in the tiny little footstool, and it looked like Cirque du Soleil. So he fell gracefully with one arm back and the stool just went up in the air, and there was maybe 90 people there, and everybody watched the stool for like 3 hours floating through the air and came straight down on his nuts. Horrendous injury, like horrendous. And the guy crawled away and off to the jacks with him, and there was to say I didn't do, and I had 15 minutes left to say that I didn't do one iota, because there was nothing, and literally almost no words for 5 minutes. I just kept on nodding to the spot. Yeah. And we'd all agreed, I think we're done here, aren't we?
I think we're done here. And those moments aren't a defeat to you.
No.
You've experienced one of the most joyous things with them, and let's all just not try and fucking move on from here. Like I think we all need a break. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what you can do. You can't go, I think I'm going to call a break. Like you wouldn't even want to bring another poor fucker up to try and we all need a debrief. Like we've just had comedic sex. Let's all have a cigarette and go into a refractory period and come back in a little bit. Like, you know what I mean? It's
like the post glow. Like just that was class, wasn't it? That was class, wasn't it? Will we just?
What's your? Do you know? Like I'm not a big thing for defining comedy. I know early days when people say like, so describe your comedy to me. You know, I hate that fucking question, because it's like, if I can describe it, then it's not fucking very original, or it's not very nuanced. Because if I can say sharp, quick-witted, and energetic, it's like, oh, I hate it, and I'll never do it again. You know what I mean? I'll say it's funny. That's it. If they say describe your comedy, I'll say it's fucking hilarious. But what are the things that you find the most joy in? So, for example, if you said to me, yeah, that's me. Like, that's me. So nothing to do with what you present, but that's me at my happiest on stage. What gear are you in? Or what style are you doing? Or what are you like? Is it audience interaction? Is it riffing? Is it nailing a piece of material that you've been searching for ages, and you just found that new angle? At what moment do you go, oh, I'm on autopilot because I'm in that fucking zone where, you know, all the stars align? Because I think for every comedian, there is a different answer, because it's like asking an actor, what's your favorite part of the process of acting? And I'm fascinated by, like, what's the thing when you go, oh no, I'm in, this is where I want to be forever. For
me, it's a discovery of, if I've discovered something, like literally like a child running up to daddy with a fucking, he's bitten the head off a frog to show it to, I'm like, they're my parents, even though like, they're almost like my best friends at the time. And I've discovered this moment. Like, I saw a woman catch an Alsatian by the throat one time and tell it fuck off into its face. And she had a fag in her mouth. She didn't even lose. Like, she stayed walking. Like, she caught an Alsatian by the throat and fuck off. And I'm like, the depth of fucking primeval, fucking animalistic fucking strength that it takes to tell an Alsatian to fuck off, not fuck or get back.
Yeah.
And it was genuinely, it had only happened that day. And I was in Galway when I was telling it, and the show was gone. It had to go extra long because I was filling in time for Joe fucking, what's her name? English.
Sean McNally.
No, English comic. Caulfield. Yeah. Her Zoom shit to bed, and they went, can you go a bit longer? I went, fucking longer. And this is to be the last, it was level 3, and it was to go to level 5, and technically we were supposed to be finished by 12 o'clock, and I was like, I'm fucking finished, and I'm going as fucking long as I can. But there was this moment where I spoke about this dog, and this woman, and we were all in it together. I found my own shoulders leaning over, and their shoulders were leaning over, and we're in it together going. And it's this moment of boldness, so we didn't want anybody else to know.
Yeah.
And it's our little boldness.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when I driving back up the road, I was like, oh, that was it. That was the fucking Mozart playing in my head, where we're not even thinking about where the next lines are coming from. It was this genuine where I discovered this fucking mad one, and I wanted to tell all the lads about it.
Yeah.
And the lads were fucking loving it, and we were all loving that moment. And that's where it is, where we're all literally sitting on each other's shoulders.
So is that the, and I suppose all comedy breaks down to this as a comedian, but is it the, I'm bringing something to share to you that only I can bring? Like look at the value of what I've brought.
I don't think I put that much thought into it. I don't think
in a subconscious level though. Do you know what I mean?
Surely I must.
Doing it as fun and like, oh, isn't this fun? But isn't it you going, look how valued this thing I brought you is?
I suppose it must be. I don't really want to. I never put that much thought into it to go, I think you're all going to think I'm class for doing this. I don't. More so, I think, like it's almost like I want to get the party started. And if it happens to be me, it's me, is it? Oh, yeah. I'll do it because I've done this before, lads. But don't think I'm a big shot here. And that's fucking, I don't know how many generations of Irishness maybe that is. I don't know, because I don't want that ever to come across. But the idea is that, like, the notion that when somebody goes, oh, I'm a big don't you say the F word. Don't you fucking say that word.
It's so ingrained in us though, because when someone says like, oh, fair play to you, I heard your thing or whatever, I heard your news, and I'll just go into the cliche, like, I can't process it. It's like 800 years of Irishness. It's the famine. It's landlords. It's everything. It's did he get an awful land for himself? Oh, your man's got fucking notions. It's fucking communion bread. It's fucking Barry's tea. It's everything. It's fucking Ron Naveen. Everything just goes.
And Barry fucking.
I support them keeping the wolf away from the door. Like I can't. I'll fucking sure. Look, they probably thought it was Des Bishop they were signing. Like I can't. I just can't. And that must be why Irish people are endearing or whatever, is because we don't go to the Euros or the Olympics or the World Cup saying, yeah, we're the best. We're going to win. We're the best team. We go over going, oh no, we're just going to stay in this as long as we can, but you're all going to fall in love with us because we're just here for having the laugh.
Yeah.
So it's like we lower the expectation on us all the time, but then we always exceed it, but in a different way. So it's like we always take everybody on a journey with us, even though the journey's much shorter than everybody else.
Unless you're Conor McGregor, and that fella just defies all fucking logic, like, versus...
Well, I think it's the journey. It's the come with me, but I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah, man.
That is like, and when
that's a perfect explanation.
Yeah. When they're all with you, you're going, this is fucking great, but I don't know. Like, come on, look, sure what? We might fucking end up.
I'm driving, but look at
that for me in a mental space or a verbal space or a performing space. That to me is the sweet spot. Is where I go. Oh, we're all on this journey together because I don't know I don't know the destination. None of us do. Fuck it though. I know it's a cliche. It's the journey, not the destination. And even though you know what your closing bit is on stage or whatever it is, I still like to think that if you are a comedian that operates with le jeu or the joy or the freedom to be able to shift things and change things and make decisions and see something crazy and react to it and also throw away the rest of your fucking set if need be. That's the joy, is the fact that you're in control of the freedom of your own show and the audience, because fuck it, I did the Opera House and I didn't even know what material I was doing. I just had a list of all my stuff in front of me on a massive screen and I just was like, we just fucking see what works, and then abandoned it into 20 minutes of improv because I was like, it feels right. Like,
well, you see, I suppose so much experience behind you too goes, I have a funny feeling this is going to be fucking lovely. If they bought a ticket, it's not like I'm trying to convince them that a comedy club in fucking Azerbaijan and they're going, who is this cunt? They're like, oh no, they know,
But it's also that apex of self-indulgence we were talking about earlier. I know how far I can take my self-indulgence without doing an hour and a half of fucking experimental improv. Paid 30 quid. Do you know what I mean? But it's going, no, this will be fun. And then we can always go back to the stuff that I know is going to work and whatever. So it's like, but it's still the freedom to be able to go, oh, I'm enjoying this show with you, but I'm just doing it from a different perspective.
I did a gig a couple of weeks ago a private gig, something that I wouldn't.
There's a sentence that no one has said for a while. I did a gig a couple of weeks ago.
Like, and it was for a stag party, right? And I thought, this just has what I would never. And do you know what it was? It was a great reset for my brain going, how fucking dare you, Tom? How fucking dare you? Because a couple of years ago, like literally before this shit, I went, fucking you can fucking shove that up your hole. And I said, like, without even considering how could it be fun. Yeah. Well, fuck me, I couldn't have been more. Now, we were in a collective together. The boys hadn't seen a soul in a year and a half. I hadn't seen anybody, and it was a back room of a pub, like 20 lads. And they all turned out to be sound enough skins, like, and they were all a bit fucking just a bit wild and stuff. But again, what I knew in my head, because of last summer, I knew I was going to be, I'd never experienced Rust. And it shit the bed last summer when first time I hit Rust. I was like, oh, Jesus, right. This one I went, basically, guys, this could be fairly shit now. And they were like, oh, fucking don't give a shit. But no, grand. Because I'm here anyway. Like, so
but that's the honesty of saying, let's go.
Yeah, this could be dirt now, lads. Just to let you know, I'm going to continuously talk. I just don't know what it's going to be. And it was this glorious reset. It was like, also then it was a good reset for me too, of not being such a fucking big-headed prick.
Yeah.
Who was I to say that these lads weren't going to make a savage crack for me too? Yeah. And it was, and I was wrong. Had been wrong prior. So because with this, I was going, here we go now. Couldn't have been more wrong. It's like, these are people just like people are people, because it's got the name of a stag do.
Like, there's ones that'll surprise you. I say no to loads of things. And I really don't, I made a choice to start saying no to stuff.
Yeah.
And there was a point where I kind of went, I can't just do all these things. I can't just do whatever I'm offered. It gets to a point where I kind of went, okay, is there going to be someone at this that's going to give me another gig? Or is this going to be really fun? Or is this a really good paying gig? Whatever. So there was a lot of things where I had to start saying no. And I almost made it, the movie Yes Man?
Yeah.
I almost went the opposite way for a while on purpose to go, just start saying no to everything.
Yeah.
Like before the pandemic, I went, let's just start saying no to everything unless I can't say no to it.
I'm with you. And
then I went, oh, fuck it. This is really good. I was onto something. I said it to my co-host on the radio. I went, dude, I'm saying no to everything. Like, can you do a wedding? No. Can you do a corporate? No. Like, not even what's the money. It was just, no, I don't want to do it. I just don't want to do it. And then they were like, can you do a corporate for X amount? And I was like, do you know what? I'm not doing any at the moment. And people being miffed and going, well, hang on. Like, are you sure? Like, this is it? And I'm like, no, it's not. And then people started trying to pitch the gig to me rather than just saying, do you want to do it or not? And it wasn't me asking for the gig or trying to give them the right price anymore. It was me actually just going, no. And then they started, so I started going, there's a kind of a power in this. If you actually don't want it, if you actually go, I actually am willing to not do it. Then I started going, okay, this is a really interesting. And what I found was it started to liberate me to start saying yes to things that I would have actually normally said no to anyway.
Right. Yeah.
Well, it wasn't like I started saying no to more things. What actually happened was once I hit a reset of say no to nearly everything, then all of a sudden someone would say, hey, do you want to do a wedding? There's only 20 of us there. And then I kind of went, fuck it, your man's actually after selling it to me. I was like, that sounds like I'm going to do it for the crack.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do it because it actually sounds like I might enjoy it. And then I do it and it does turn out to be great. And I go, fucking great. But then I was like catching myself going, but don't say yes to everything.
I
found now that I only say yes to things that I want to do for whatever the reason is, whether it's financial or, whatever. But I never now feel like I have to do it.
Yeah.
And I think the pandemic, even though I have a radio show that was solid and it was there the whole time. And I always feel it's a bit bittersweet because I'm kind of going like, oh, thank God I've got something, whatever. And I'm looking around going, fuck, like my empathy was going through the roof because I was like, don't say, don't be fucking putting stuff up online because other people can't. I was stuck in it. I felt loads of guilt over the last year and a half just because I wasn't in that position.
Because you did a job.
But there was times I was in that I was in that position when there wasn't a pandemic.
I get you.
On the fucking table because fucking I was, double jobbing working with my dad as a contract cleaner. And then my dad lost a massive contract because of flood. And then I couldn't put bread on the table for my kids. You know what I mean? So it's like, been there and maybe not in a pandemic and en masse with other comedians, but like, I think everyone's had that kind of moment where you go, fuck it. Like, what am I going to do here? There's two directions. It's like, do I get a factory job or do I fucking push harder with the comedy? And it's like, it's never happened before like this.
Yeah.
So I think there will be a resetting time when everything kind of levels off.
I think so.
But I think a lot of comedians have kind of gone, I haven't gigged in a year and a half and I didn't lose my mind.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll approach the way that I view this differently, and maybe they'll make better choices for their mental health, better choices for their career, or, you know what I mean? Because I started to find that no thing. And then all of a sudden I was like, well, I'm not missing out if I don't do that gig. Whereas it's always that FOMO thing. If I don't do that festival, everyone else is there and I'm that and then they'll start thinking, has he retired? Does he not do comedy anymore? We won't book him for the next one. It's like, it's always like the trying to maintain, hey guys, I'm still here. Like it shouldn't be that way. Like,
to be fair, we had some there was a series there where the two of us kept on getting put together to do weird gigs around the place. Do you remember?
Yeah.
We did one.
We just keep bumping into each other at different doorways, just going like, is this going ahead? Like,
literally, that was the answer. Ross go, is this going ahead, Tom? I don't know.
The only thing worse than not getting gigs is getting gigs that you drive 4 hours to and it doesn't go ahead and no one pays you. That's worse than not getting the gig.
Jesus Christ. We did one in Mallow one time and it was,
fucking hell.
We were in this back part, like this corridor-sized part of the bar.
I can tell you, Maracaibo was the name of the bar.
Maracaibo! Yeah. And they had cameras on us.
And there was a lad playing darts at the side.
Yeah. But there was...
Stop playing darts.
No,
like,
they were
here for the darts. They're only here for the darts.
But the cameras that were on us had us playing over the bar on televisions.
Yeah.
It was the most obscurely weird.
So no one had a motivation to even face us on the stage.
Yeah.
So we alcoves and corners. It was just it was the route to the toilet. Like it was just women going to the jacks and coming out, and it was just us going, this probably needed to be discussed ahead of time. and then all the barman kept saying was, the room downstairs is fucking perfect.
Yeah.
That's all they kept saying. Like, you die coming off, I die coming off, whoever else was MCing died coming off. And it was like, they'd go, downstairs would have been better. Every single person.
But not a single fucker would have gone downstairs. And that's why your man put it. He knew full well what he was doing. We did a couple, like we did this one horse town out in East Cork somewhere as well. I can't remember the name of it. But it was a bar that was done up during the boom. And then they lost the license for it.
Okay.
And they opened it back up again for just us to do some. And they had this weird, like, Bishop's pulpit built up there. Do you remember that?
I do remember that, yeah.
That was, there was some hillbillies at that.
I was in Waterford that night doing a gig and I drove back and it was it was a fundraiser for a football club or a gas club.
Yeah.
They were all, that was brilliant. That place was
rouse and everything kicking off. You knew shit was going to get fucking wild inside that place.
350 people.
Bit into a pub that didn't even have a license.
Oh, I enjoyed that night. I was just after doing another gig and I was kind of on the way home and I was like, just go and close this one. I was like, this is wild.
But I did a gig in that pub about a year later and 2 lads had shotguns in there. And it wasn't weird. I remember I was hosting the thing, or I can't remember, was I closing or hosting the thing?
Not even one.
Nah, 2. And they brought him in. I said, boys, any chance you could have left the fucking guns at home? Like?
Oh my God.
And they were like,
it's so embarrassing. You should have called me and told me you were bringing your shotgun.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, the embarrassing. But it was like the lads, like I was talking about coats. I said, boys, you couldn't have left him out in the fucking Jeep or something. He goes, no, I brought the tractor. I says, well, you couldn't have left him in the tractor. No windows in the tractor. I mean, you keep on giving.
There was, but this thing keeps going off.
Yeah. But with that, more and more, it got weirder and weirder, like where I was becoming the villain for because nobody got on my side. And I was like, no, lads, I don't mind a good gun. But in a fucking pub, like.
You of all people, probably dressed in camo at the time.
I probably was. Yeah. And I took just the only choice I had was to take one of the guns and just start pointing at the audience. Empty mind, and not one cunt ducked. Nobody out of 300 people, not one cunt ducked. That'll tell you the level of hard bastard that was in that room.
Oh my God.
Everybody just looked at me. It was like, oh, jeez.
Oh.
Would you tell me, because I never got into, I know you wrestled. Did you wrestle with Adam Burke?
I did.
And where did you wrestle? Because I had no idea until I met you that there was a wrestling scene in Ireland. Like,
yeah, so there wasn't until we started wrestling.
Right.
So we brought it from England to Ireland. So when I was 14, I went to the UK to Sittingbourne in Kent to do a wrestling summer camp, like a wrestling kind of school for the summer for 2 weeks. Did that. kept going back over there. Then I kind of, the guy, the head trainer, Andre Baker, who's passed away now, took a shining to me, took a liking to me, and two other guys from Bray as well, Paul Tracy and Fergal Devitt, who's now in WWE. He's Finn Balor now in WWE. And the three of us wrestled, and we each got our black belts in submission wrestling. We got our coach's licenses over the course of like 2-3 years. And then we came back to Ireland, and they set up a school in Bray, and I set up a school. While I was in 5th year in school, I set up a wrestling school in Ballincollig in Cork. So that's probably another reason I didn't want to do Leaving Circus. I was like, I'm already doing something. You know what I mean? I had
business.
a thing.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I had a thing, and it was, I'd like 50 trainees and to begin with, and then kind of, you whittle them down because it's tough going and stuff. And so like, I mean, that was, and then like they'd run shows in Bray. So I'd wrestle over in the UK doing UK tours with the likes of Jake the Snake Roberts and Jim Dillon and Hart and Tatanka, and all them were on all those tours. And then they set up NWA Ireland, which is not the rap group, it's National Wrestling Alliance, which is an international. They're all over the world.
Naughties with attitude.
Yeah. So like Ric Flair would have been, and Dusty Rhodes, they would have all been NWA champions, which is National Wrestling Alliance. So before WCW, that was NWA.
Right.
And, so you buy the franchise. So we had NWA Ireland. We trained in England. It was NWA UK. And then we just started running shows. They started running shows. I just wrestled for them. I did a few in Cork, ran a few in Cork. But it was like pro wrestling. And we all know what pro wrestling is now at this stage. There's no point. The donkey's boat, the barn of kayfabe. But we also were trained in catch as catch can, Russian sambo wrestling.
Oh, right.
We were trained in everything. So we had our black belts in legitimate shoot wrestling, which later became kind of UFC kind of stuff, Yeah,
because shoot is a real fight, isn't it? Like
shoot, even an interview in wrestling, if someone's shooting, it means that it's legit, like, you know what I mean?
But wrestling can fuck you up though, way worse than actual martial arts. Because
I've never been injured from, like, I competed in the men's UK Open Wrestling shoot fighting tournament when I was 16, under 65 kgs. I've never seen that weight again since then. I've taken shits that size since, but I've never seen that weight myself. And I never got injured in any of those submission wrestling matches. But in pro wrestling, the fake stuff, I've dislocated the shoulder 26 times, dislocated that one 18 times, broken my tailbone, cracked a rib, dislocated 2 fingers, lost a toenail, smashed 6 teeth. I would say 8 or 10 concussions, lost 2.5 pints of blood one night from here, cracked my orbital bone, and then some other stuff as well. So it was fucking, yeah. I was very, like, every second match I left in an ambulance for like a year and a half. It got pretty hairy. And I was kind of going, I don't think this is for me.
I take up the old comedy there.
I have the body of a calcium deficient 80-year-old. But I loved it. You know what I mean? And my character was the investment, Ross Browne, and I'd come out with the same gear that I wore for my first ever wrestling gig, 3-piece suit and a fedora. And I was kind of like the Rat Packy kind of Ric Flair. I'd come out and it was all about, put your money on me, I'm the best, and all this kind of stuff, and braggadocious. And I came out to Money, the Motown song. So everyone else was coming out to death metal, like, dun, 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 and I was coming out to the best things in life for free. Twerking my way out to the ring like an Egypt, all 11 stone on me. So yeah, I loved it, but I was too passionate about it.
Okay,
which is a strange thing. I was so passionate about it that it turned me into someone I didn't like. It brought out a side in me that I don't like, which is an aggressive side or a very cynical side. So if I thought people were doing it the wrong way, it really affected me to the point where I was like, they're ruining the business. So like I thought, even though nobody believes this is real, we can still try and fool them.
Yes.
And I did on a couple of occasions. I fooled everyone, including all the boys in the locker room, to the point where I had heat because I was working everybody. And that was, for me, was like, okay, now we're talking some Andy Kaufman shit where everyone thinks it's real.
Yeah,
including the guy that I'm going into the ring with, and he's also complaining to the promoter saying he thinks I'm going to shoot on him. So like that, and then I clue the guy in. I go, dude, I'm just fucking working everyone, but I had to work you to get a legit reaction, and now you're cool. You know what I mean? Now I can let you in on what I was doing all along. But I took it too seriously to that degree, where I kind of went, I was doing comedy at the same time as well, and then I was doing this, and I was like, this is the bit of me I like, and this is bringing out the bit in me that I don't like. Like, normally I get on with everybody, and now I'm bringing all this aggro on myself just because I'm so passionate about it that I want to fool people and to make them believe So I kind of went, right, I think for my body's sake and just because I think that's not who I am.
Yeah.
Generally, I was like, I think I might just try and enjoy it again in a different way. It's like watch it and, just enjoy it from a perspective, from a spectator's point of view, which I've learned to do again. So now I can sit back and watch it with the kind of experience of having done it and just kind of go, oh, that's really well. They did that very good. They didn't do that so well, and not get angry going,
yes, yeah.
Everyone knows what it is now. But you know what I mean? I was trying to clutch onto and that's where we were trained.
Well, I think they've probably crafted the evolution of people finding out about it well, or at least rode that out well, because we know pantomime isn't fucking real either, but yet everybody goes to pantomime. You remember that
show that was on Sky One? And it was Secrets of Magic Revealed.
Yeah.
And that lad came out with the weird
mask,
black mask on, and he showed this is what the magician does. All the magicians didn't then go, okay, well, let's just fucking take the sides off the boxes because they all know there's 2 women in there. They still tried to fucking and that's what I thought about wrestling. I was like, just because they know that there's magic, there's trickery or sleight of hand, or they know that there's some kind of, scam going on. Can we not try and make them go, but that was real? And that's all I wanted, was for someone to go, no, that was real. If I can make fans argue over stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like I decked one of my trainees. I planted him in the crowd one night, and I went to such lengths to get him in there so he arrived in a different car about 2 hours ahead of time. He queued up with the fans. He paid for a ticket. I gave him the money the day before. He paid for a ticket. He went in. He sat front row. He was cheering the same as all the fans were the whole night. Didn't look like he was smart or clued in, like he was a wrestler. And then this big brawl thing kicked off. None of the other wrestlers knew that he was a plant either. So when I punched him and he fucking fell into the guardrails and accidentally cut all down the side, they all thought I attacked a fan legitimately. And then shit hit the fan because I was forcibly ejected from the building. And then everybody was saying, you should sue because he's after attacking you. And he's like, look, it's all right. I'll just go home and stuff like that. And we walked out of there. He came around the other side of the town in Waterford. I picked him up, hopped into the car, and we were like, we fucking did it. We fucking, everybody believes that was real. We've achieved our goal, so.
Yeah.
But again, it's like, what's the payoff for that? It's like, people don't like you anymore. People that love the same thing that you love, just maybe not in the same way. All of a sudden they think, why did he fucking not tell us that was a fucking not a real fan? You know what I mean? So it's like, then I was kind of like, okay, look, we're all just pretending to fight each other. Why can't I just chill out a little bit and just accept that people do it in different ways? So
I get you. But I suppose if everybody been pulling off moves like that to try to fucking get one up, then it wasn't accepted. But you were fucking
saturated. Yeah.
Fucking yeah. I won't take up any more of your time, but you have to fucking tell me. I know this is going to make your skin crawl, but well done, Ross, for getting your
oh sure, look, we're keeping the wolf away from the door now, huh?
Ross, your special filmed at the Cork Opera House. Is that the one? That's
the one, yeah. It was filmed in March of 2019.
Right.
Was, so like
with a skinnier fucking teeth, yeah.
No, 2019.
Oh, 2019. Sorry, yeah.
The year before so I was just about to do. I had 2 nights sold out the year after, which was like March of the next year or April of the next year, and then those ones were kiboshed by the pandemic. But a year before that, we'd filmed a show, we filmed it speculatively, going, let's try and make this into a special.
Yeah.
We put up all the money, and myself and Uprisor and Dylan Owens and Craig Garfinkel. Craig Garfinkel I met in LA, and because Dylan brought me over there. We met a load of people. I went into Craig Garfinkel's house, and there's platinum records on his wall from Dane Cook. And I was like, oh, okay. I thought he was a music producer. And he was like, oh no, he also directed Dane Cook specials. I was like,
Jesus, right.
So we told him that I was funnier than what I was, and he agreed to produce a special. And so he was producing, Derek was directing, and we did it. And then we went through all the editing process, and we managed to pick up a deal over in LA with Comedy Dynamics. So, like, the scale of it is they make all the specials for everybody in America,
right?
On every, like, Bill Burr, Kevin Hart, Aziz Ansari, Ali Wong, Tom Segura, Arsenio Hall,
Jeez.
Jeff Dunham, like literally you name the person Tiffany Haddish, they make all the specials.
Yeah.
And for some reason, they've decided to make one with me. Well, they've taken the one that we've already done, and it's going to be distributed worldwide. So it's been released on the 17th of August worldwide, which is, I didn't know this until 4 days ago. I thought they were releasing an audio album, and then they went, no, we're doing a full worldwide release of the full special. And they were like, it's going to be on Amazon Prime Video. I was like, fuck. I think someone forgot to tell me, or I just wasn't like.
And what are they distributors? Is it they're the
producers and distributors?
Right,
so they like they film specials, they produce specials from day one, and they also acquire specials and then distribute them. So so it's Brian Volk-Weiss is the CEO of Comedy Dynamics, and he's kind of like, if you listen to any of the kind of Two Bears One Caves or Joe Rogan or anybody who's talking about recording, like Jim Gaffigan and stuff, they're all talking about Brian Volk-Weiss. Like he's the guy that's involved in all of them. So in Ireland it's going to be available to stream on Amazon Prime Video. It hasn't sunk in yet. It boggles my mind. Like it really does. It's like I had to Google Amazon Prime Video several times in the first 2 days because I thought there was another version that wasn't the real Amazon Prime. Like I was going, maybe it's like a subsidiary page where you can just rent like a DVD or something.
This is where all the Afghani comedy is. Like
what dogs like? Is it the Afghan hounds? All right. So I was like, and I was turning to my wife and I was like, this is going on Amazon fucking, and I rang Dylan. I was like, is this going on Amazon Prime? Like the act, and he was like, yes, man. I was like, oh, and he was like, yeah, this is a fucking big deal. So it's going on Amazon Prime Video to stream, and it's also going to be, I think in Ireland it's going to be available to rent or buy on Vimeo as well.
Right.
They've got a buying thing, same as YouTube do. And then all over the world, then it's going to be on Amazon Prime, but then it's also like different places like Apple TV in different regions, like Apple TV, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. And then the audio album is being dropped on the 20th of August, which means I'm going to be put forward for the Grammys.
Stop.
Apparently.
A Grammy.
If you've an audio comedy album, you get put forward for a Grammy. So let's hope Dave Chappelle falls asleep for the next 18 months.
Well, I mean, you can always put,
might as well just call it the Dave Chappelle Award because like no one can touch Dave.
Yeah.
So I told them I'm at their behest.
Yeah, whatever you want.
Anything they want me to do.
Louise,
I am on board 100%. Call me any time of the day or night, and I'll wake up and brush my teeth and talk to anyone. Like it's mega. Like, and I'm not going to play it down and go, sure, look, we'll see what happens. If this is the peak of my career, like, if this is the apex, as we mentioned earlier, I'm delighted. Like, this is fucking. It's the biggest thing I've done, and it doesn't at all fall on deaf ears, or I'm not fucking sitting there going, sure, it's grand. Like, I'm blown away by it. Like, so.
Well, fair, if ever there was a fucking, I guess,
deserving person,
yeah. But well, Jesus
ruined
Christ,
wrestling for an entire country.
But if ever there was a lesson for fucking people going, fuck it, sure, what's the point? You fucking went away, I mean, you put up, you put your heads together, you formulated getting the special filmed, and speculatively you went, fuck it, it's worth doing. It's fucking worth doing. Let's fucking do it.
And do you know why I did this? And by the way, this is not a slating or a slight on anything about the industry of comedy or any of the kind of, what would you say, tributaries of entertainment that come off of comedy. We're in a country where there's way more talent than there is infrastructure.
Yeah.
Right. And also we're kind of at the behest of 30 people.
Yeah.
In Ireland who make decisions. There's 30 people who are the gatekeepers of whether it's comedy clubs or whether it's TV stations or whether it's agencies or whatever. I got a TV show. I got the Fear, did that, and it was fantastic. And then now I'm, writing with Peter Foot, and I'm helping, writing all, whatever scripts he's doing. And, I'm fortunate enough to be in the room when, Young Offenders has been written and all that kind of stuff, and thrown my 2 pence in there for that kind of stuff. And I found people that I was like, oh, these, you kind of find a family, or you find people you kind of go, oh, they want to work with me and I want to work with them, and we've got this great thing. Yeah. But other than that, like, I've never once had a meeting with an agent in Ireland. Like, it's never even been like they like never got an email back, never anything. I got the odd email, do you want to support someone?
Yeah,
when I was selling out theaters myself. But, and again, I'm not saying like they should have fucking signed me. It's like, no, this isn't the fault. This isn't the Father Ted like, and now on to lawyers. This isn't that. This isn't that. But what I'm saying is there's certain times when people can give you stuff and do stuff for you. And there's times when they won't. And it just means that you're not right for them.
Yeah.
Or the time doesn't suit, or they have someone like you, or you're not the flavor of the month or the thing that gets commissioned, or whatever it is, whatever thing it is. You look at people like Bo Burnham. Bo Burnham shot an entire special in his fucking bedroom in a year and a half. Like, you can make things for yourself. You've got a podcast. Loads of other comedians have podcasts. They do their own stuff online. It's like the only person who'll never say no to you is yourself.
Yeah.
So do your thing. And then hopefully people gravitate towards you. But so like, I was always of the thing of DIY. I'll do it myself. Like my tour, like you saw the venues I was playing. It was like, I was booking them blind. Like,
yeah.
And I found this way because of desperation, because I lost a job, that I was like, I have to lean into this. So I literally zoomed into Google Maps, into any gray area, Googled all of the bars and music venues in that place, went on all their Facebook pages, looked through their albums to see, do they look like they've got young people there, and do they do gigs? Rang them, cold called them, sold the fucking show, pushed a flat fee on them. And if they said yes, they think they can promote it, make a profit. If they said no, they weren't the right place for me. And I eventually built the circuit now. And I kind of went, well, you don't need to have an agent. It's nice to have an agent, but you don't need to have an agent. You don't need to have a TV show. You don't need to have, people producing your stuff for you. You can do it all yourself. So then that kind of carried over the DIY kind of attitude of, we've got, I know a guy who's got cameras and can direct and stuff like that. And we've met a producer. What's stopping us except for us just kind of investing in it ourselves a little bit? And then once we did that, it's kind of like, okay, now you actually have something tangible that you can go, no, do you want this? And if they said no, at least you fucking have it and you've created something, So it's like, I think people need to stop waiting for yays or nays.
Oh, I think so. I think so.
And I think with the pandemic as well. And, I think a lot of people might go, actually, I can kind of take this in my own hands and run with it. And all of the best things that have happened in the last 10 years in entertainment, most of them have been down to people creating their own stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at Hot Ones on YouTube. Like that.
Yeah.
Mega. And it's a guy
unbelievable.
I'm doing this myself. So all those kind of things, I think it's like, and again, it's not me going, I've cracked it, because I haven't. Like, this is just one little thing. But I kind of go, even when it's shit, you're still kind of going, oh, but no one can say no to me. Like,
yeah.
I'll just either have the motivation to do something or I won't. So it's like, and that's what podcasting is all about as well, is like, people are just going, I'm making my own show. I'm branding it myself. I'm doing my own imagery. I'm posting it up myself. I'm cutting it myself. I'm editing it myself. I decide what it is. And then once you find that stuff, it's kind of, then you're kind of going, oh no, I am my own brand. I don't need to try and go to someone, hey, do you think I should have a mullet and a handlebar,
Yeah, because they go absolutely
that's not testing really well with women in their 30s. You're going, you're fucking telling me.
Yeah. I should come here and listen. We're doing
the guy who's married with a kid.
We're doing it. I'm doing the 200 episode is August 22nd over in Galway. I just, like, you see the lads who are tagging the tickets that they buy. It's one of the fantastically. It's we capacity 200 now because it's an open sided tent, whatever.
Yeah.
But all the blokes that are like tagging me going, hey, got the tickets. I'm like, yeah, he could be a friend. Yeah, he could be a friend. He could be related to me. Yeah, he could be, like, it's just all dudes or the odd couple who are up for a good crack. Like, you know what I mean? But
look, I mean, there's a lot of vilification of like things for men lately. You know what I mean? I'm not saying like, oh, look at us, we're being downtrodden. But like, there's nothing wrong with a bit of masculinity. Or there's nothing wrong with things.
I don't have anything else.
Or things that are for women that enjoy things for men. Do you know what I mean? It's like, there are kind of cool.
Ironically, I would say when you look up the demographics of this, it's actually about 44% of women that listen to this, because they're going.
But there's nothing in this podcast, like this episode, for example. There's nothing in there that is like,
pro men or pro women.
Anti anybody or pro anything in particular. It's like, it's just people having a chat. So it's like, again, it's like your audience will always find you.
Yeah.
And if you're true to what you're doing and you're consistent in it, they'll always go, oh, I like him or I like her, therefore I'll follow whatever they do. And then, like, that's how people like, Joanne McNally and Bernard Casey and, Fred Cook and all these people have found their audience because they're going, I like them. Like, we're in the business of selling our personalities. If the jokes are good, the jokes are good. But like, if people are really going to latch onto you or hitch onto your wagon, they're going to be like, I want them to succeed. I like them. You know,
Exactly.
which in
Yeah.
itself is being a fan, but we don't like that word because.
Well done, Ross. Well
Thank you so much. You're so kind.
Just hashtag blessed.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all? Well done.
August 17th, Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Ross Browne.
Yeah.
Absolute fucking legend. Thank you so much, brother.
This one. Did I come across all pontification there now?
I don't know what
all the Irishness is coming out me again. Where I'm going, I hope I didn't sound like I was telling people what to do. I don't even know where my own legs are.